The Bombshell claims were floated by an anonymous Reddit user who claimed to be a fed up developer for a major food delivery app, who was posting on a burner laptop because I am technically under a massive NDA. First things first, when you see a story like this, if it were to be true, there would be so much more spilled than there was. It wouldn't be talking about, oh, if you pay priority, you're just going to get your food in the normal time, you're not going to get it any faster, but if you don't pay it, you're going to get it in longer. Like, that wouldn't be what somebody breaking a major NDA like this, and especially they said an engineer. So it raised a lot of skepticism, because if you read it, it just reads like poorly written AI, and poorly written generated AI is only generated because the person that input it poorly put in. I mean, because AI can generate some pretty good stuff, but the being able to catch the AI now is pretty intense. Like, these AI things, you can reverse engineer them and often find out they were just written by AI. But so the developer, this is according to the post, but we all know this post is a lie now. But the developer alleged that the app was constantly scheming ways to wring more profits out of its drivers, who are referred to as human assets in internal meetings. See, things like that, human assets, even though like somebody like Kim Cavan, who's a wordsmith, might have searched for a term like that, somebody writing this isn't going to do that, even a developer. So that's some of the AI you can tell. But I mean, while it is AI generated and it's not real, I do agree with a lot. I mean, you guys know this about me. I mean, it would be good stuff if it was real, but you'd want it to go much deeper. So the thing that actually makes me sick, and the main reason I'm quitting, is the desperate score, as they quote unquote. So we have a hidden metric for drivers that tracks how desperate they are for cash based on their acceptance behavior. I mean, could they have a metric like this? Potentially, but my thing is, again, in 2016 or 2026, excuse me, I have my neck on that one. But in 2026, one thing for sure is data costs are triple now. So they're not going to be running. Look, I think telematics will be gone off their app. I think that, I mean, they can't make as much selling the information as they're going to have to obtaining it. And since they don't even do that for a business, it's not their space. They're going to step out of things that are data loaded in cost. So I don't think that they don't have the time or the resources. We're talking about like potentially, whether part-time, full-time. We know there's 28.5 million gig app workers in the United States, part full-time. But let's just say 10 million. Tony Hsu himself said 11 million in an interview a couple of years back. But let's just say 10 million, and honestly, they're not going to keep 10 million data records on people and their behaviors. They might start to see, like what I've told you here in Colorado, they might start to see Steve doesn't take orders that are over 10 miles, or Steve doesn't take anything less than $2 a mile, or Steve doesn't do this. They might start doing that, like for me, but they're not gauging my, like how bad do I need money? They can't access your bank accounts. And if they do, they're facing fraudulent activity like they've never seen. And if you think, well, but they do that kind of thing. Yeah, they do. But they're being watched by everybody right now. So they're not going to be looking for new scams to tap into a credit report and again, Checker ain't running any of that stuff. They don't spend money on you. Spend $23. They spend the bare minimum. They're not going to spend more. So the identity of the Reddit user, this was 6 hours ago, has not been verified, prompting some online speculation whether the post was authentic or even potentially AI generated. Nevertheless, it spread like wildfire on social media and forced a response from Doordash's Tony Hsu, who fired back on X. Let me pull up that screenshot to grab it here. So here is Tony's post on X. Holy fucking shit is right. Because I mean, well, they said holy, whole screenshot with the Reddit caption, holy fucking shit. So he says, holy fucking shit is right. This is not Doordash. And I would fire anyone who promoted or tolerated the kind of culture described in this Reddit post. There's so much wrong with this post. Dashers are not human assets. Having a metric like a desperation score is an abomination. We've never had a driver benefits fee. And why would you charge the faster delivery but not make it faster? We're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we work every day to make our platform better for everyone who has come to it. What's described here is appalling, and if true, whoever is operating in this manner should be ashamed. So here's what I got to say. I've read enough now. This didn't happen. This was AI generated. This isn't real. If it was, we would have a lot more deeper stuff than that. Okay. But what I don't like here is exactly what's up on the screen right now. I don't like that Tony Hsiu went on to X and said these things, because it's not just the drivers anymore. The customers are definitely aware they're being ripped off. And the restaurant partners, as we've talked about with Big Red F coming up, and from Boulder and just other ones that we just know of, they're aware that what they're getting more and more aware of what they're being taken from too. So a post like this coming from Tony Hsiu is actually pretty insulting at a time when he should just be professional. I don't think any of this should have been said. I think he should have just let a Doordash, I mean, I'm not normally for this, but just let a Doordash spokesperson come out and say, clearly this is not true at all. We will get to the bottom of this, and we will be transparent with you about what happened in the near, as soon as we have this figured out. I would do something like that, because what he's saying here is, like he's talking about the 4 points that were brought up. Dashers are not human assets. Yeah, but Tony, we kind of think you think we are. Having a metric like desperation score is an abomination. Yeah, but using metrics illegally, since we're independent contractors, is an abomination. So if you're willing to do that abomination, why wouldn't you do the desperation score if it was possible? We've never had a driver benefit fee. Here's the thing, coming from you, Tony, a driver benefit fee, now you got me thinking about that. Maybe you have had a driver benefit fee that comes out of the driver's money right before the payment hits, first thing, and it never was shown in non-transparent states. So now you got me thinking about a whole new thing. You shouldn't be, I guess I'm saying Tony shouldn't be putting out ideas about the driver. I know it was brought up, but, and then why would you charge for faster delivery, but not make it faster? Well, because of the way this read, because what it was saying was that if you paid the faster, you would get it in time. But if you didn't pay it, it was actually pushed 15 to 20 minutes back before it was even put into the shuffle. I don't think any of that's true. I can speak for Uber Eats. I can't speak for Doordash. I've never been a customer on it. I've obviously used the app as a driver many times, but I have a lot of personal background history and hatred for the company, and for good reason. I mean, a lot of what's happened over the last few years helped me come up with this word, but my keyword of scumbaggery came about from Doordash. So, I mean, I don't know, just a bad idea to have Tony do that. So the developer also claimed that a priority delivery fee features in the food deliver app, total scam that does nothing to speed you up, and that the benefit fee charge to customer actually goes straight to a corporate slush fund used to lobby against driver unions. Yeah, that's just, I do so much research on that specific thing right there. I can even jump in there and go, no, this, because let me just put it this way. I'm not giving them any kudos. If there was a slush fund, it would be going to pay original venture capitalists back the lies that you told them they would make once you went public, because those people for those that think that people who got in at the early days, it's same with Uber, they're just forever good. Well, there's a lot of, it depends on how much you bought. Because if you just bought this much, and I mean, when I say that, I mean like more than any of us could afford. But if you're an investor that just bought a small little piece, you had clauses on there that you couldn't cash your stock out for 5 years after it goes public or whatever, 10, whatever. So you have to just roll with it. But if you bought huge chunks, you could cash out. That's why we saw some of that. Elsewhere, the app allegedly uses algorithms to lower the base pay for drivers. No. In the non-transparent markets, I collaborate with enough people to know that in the non-transparent markets, before some of the laws and things hit this year, just know that it's just a constant movement. Move money here to make this okay over here. Get the base pay up over here, take it from there. This is more of like a algorithmic behind the scenes digital slush fund that nobody's getting any money from, but it's just pooling out of the total number of orders going in. Because you also have to remember that DoorDash and all these platforms are processing. They're processing the credit cards and they're passing the payment along to you, the dasher. So if you think about just your market, but then the whole United States, world, wherever they might be, but think about just your city, your state, just your city. If you live in a big one like me, just my city, think about how much money is in that DoorDash account before they dish it out to the accounts at the end of the night. You can start to see the kind of numbers we're talking about. It's very easy to get in there and manipulate. So that's why transparency is important. Remove the metrics, give transparency. It's 2026, guys. And I have a lot of great stuff from a lot of amazing people that are like factual based research. So DoorDash, Uber Eats, we'll be talking about it, but I've talked to your lobbyists on several occasions during the court cases here. They're familiar with me through elected officials, things like that. Get in touch with me. Happy to talk to you. Happy to tell you why it might even make more sense for you to save data, do things differently, and maybe it might even put you in a better light with everybody. Just saying. So the result is that your generosity isn't rewarding the driver, it's subsidizing other drivers. You're paying their wage so we don't have to, probably, or at least that's how they were before the pandemic, for sure. I mean, that's why they got caught in all those tip scams. They were taking it out of the tips to pay the drivers who were getting paid better base pay even then, and then keeping the remainder of the tip. And there's a reason why. They worded it funny and they thought this is okay to do. No, it wasn't. And again, every state or city that sued them for this has won or has settled out of court for the full amount. So I challenge you guys. It's another thing. Touch base with a lawmaker. Tell them and show them the articles. Email me, steve@ridsharerodeo.com. I'll send you some links you can take to a lawmaker and say, listen, look, Chicago, look, if they were operational in your city from 2017 to 2019, 2020 to 2023, and probably something here coming current, then you have lawsuits viable to you about tip theft. And your city should be taking it. It's millions of dollars. Yes, a lot goes to the drivers, but some goes to the city too. When reached for comment, a DoorDash spokesman said the company does not use and has not used these features. It's funny, these features. We don't use those features. We use a ton of bad ones, but not those. Has not used these features, including the Desperation Score, and our comments are about a company and a company alone. DoorDash also put a blog post out with a longer denial of the posts, horrible claims. Specifically, the company denied that it had ever referred to drivers as human assets. I'm going to be honest with you guys, with the FTC investigations going on and with the things that I know from talking to people, both in legislation, elected officials, states, just people in the know, I would very highly doubt that. I mean, I fully agree with this. I would very, very, very highly doubt there ever, in even an email context, anything, use the term human assets. That's part of what threw me too, because if they were doing that, that would be like labeled XT5 capital Z, human assets. They would never put human assets as like what they're saying, like over and over and over in documentation. The FTC is in their books. Of course, they're not going to say human assets. You know, that would be a human, that could be a human rights trial, and that would shut them down immediately. That goes beyond business. So they're not going to do that. And so that was the big one to me. The priority delivery was a scam, or that a driver benefit fee to fund lobbying against, yeah, okay. I don't think, yeah. I mean, we're all on the same page and all the press. So food delivery firm also rejected the claim that drivers earn less pay if customers were determined to be higher tippers. Again, I just think this is AI fun trying to get people even more stirred up, because that doesn't even make sense. Unless you're talking about the higher tippers and trying to subsidize a base pay that already is so unreflective of anything. Because if we were just working on base pay, like think about Europe, where they don't even have the tipping feature. If you want to tip in most Europe, you have to give a cash tip, or you have to, or you can't. You have to give a cash tip. So obviously over there, we see something very different. We see people who deliver for this is a $13 delivery. Okay, that's all you need to know. Because if we were doing that, these are $2 base pay orders. What again, I know some people maybe say they can get in 3. Okay. I can only get in 2 Doordashes in an hour, maybe 5 in 2 hours, maybe. But my city only allows that. So let's say 5 in 2 hours. $2 base pay, that's $10. And I have a son, all kinds of things. $5 an hour? No. Nobody would be doing that. So I honestly question that whole thing. So the post continued, this is a horrific team and even more horrific of a concept. The company, or term, this is the company. We are not tracking how much cash Dashers have and determining pay based on that. I honestly do believe that. I do believe that they might know what is like poorer areas. But we've even heard the opposite, which I actually do believe as well. Like for me, I'm on the Aurora-Denver border. I probably do better when I deliver to the Aurora side. Just saying. Like, break it down however you want. I'm going to make more money over there. Are they subsidizing the trips? I don't know. I mean, I just did 2 100 bonuses this weekend for Uber Eats. Now, the pay was one day was 4.5 hours. The next day was 3 hours, 40 minutes. The first day was like $53 I made during that 4.5 hours. But then I got the bonus for doing 10, which was $120. Then Sunday was like $80, but I got the bonus of 120 for doing 10. So again, if I take out the bonuses, I mean, look at that first day, $53 for 4.5 hours. You kidding me? It's $13 an hour. Is it even? Yeah, it is. $13 an hour. Nobody's doing that. So the controversy surfaced during a period of unprecedented scrutiny on Capitol Hill over algorithm-based business practices. This is the only interesting part of this I am into. Last month, a Bombshell report alleged that food delivery service Instacart charged hundreds of customers widely different prices at chains, including Target, Kroger, Safeway, Albertsons, and Costco. We know that. I've been talking about that all the time. The difference in what you even just would pay to the store as opposed to the cheapest app. But then some apps, they're all dynamic. And then we have the final sentence, which is great. This has now all prompted a wave of congressional scrutiny, with lawmakers quickly writing 2026 legislation cracking down on algorithms.